with two B's. This is Shabbat. What does that word mean? What is the meaning of the Hebrew verb Shabbat, from which the noun Shabbat is derived? What is the meaning? It means to cease, to stop, not merely to rest. Not merely to rest. Okay? See the NASB, the NIV, the NJV example, Exodus 5:5. We read it this morning, and Patriarchs and Prophets 2:5, 2:5 corroborates that. In other words, Shabbat is a physical, notice the words, rest from. Remember I told you those two words, rest from? To rest from means to cease. That's why it says, on the seventh day, God rested from his work. Are you with me? Now, why am I emphasizing that? Let me see the hands of those in your churches where you've got people who say, oh, Pastor, the Sabbath is for rest, so I'm going home to sleep. I see hands going up right away. You see, people think that the word rest means sleep. No, listen carefully. Shabbat, the verb, means rest from, means stop doing your physical everyday activities in order to be active in the Lord's work. You get that?
Amen.
That's what it means. It doesn't mean rest. It means rest from your daily secular activities. So get that through to your members. Sabbath does not mean rest. Sabbath means stop doing your daily activities, your secular, your physical things, so that you can be active in God's work. That's what it's for. Sabbath is not a day of rest. It's a day of cessation. Cessation from your activities in order to be fully active in God's work. You see the difference now?
Yes.
Remember Shabbatniks, the Ukrainian, okay? That's what it means. So that's what this whole idea is. Yes, sir.
What about Hebrews 4, Sabbath rest?
That Hebrew word for is the word Sabatismos. Earlier on I was mentioning that the word Sabatismos actually means a Sabbath observance. It does not mean Sabbath rest. It's the actual, that's why this dissertation by Erhard Gallus, by the way, Gallus has just been employed about a year ago to be the New Testament professor in the college at Andrews University, and his dissertation is Katapausis and Sabatismos in Hebrews chapter 4. And he maintains and he shows all the evidence that in all Christian and non-Christian literature, the word Sabatismos consistently, other than Origin, by the way, we all know, is allegorical. He goes way out there. He doesn't translate or interpret. Other than Origin, it's always meaning a literal Sabbath observance. So stay with it. Therefore, there remaineth a Sabbath observance. That's the way the word is used. And by the way, I've got it in here. I've quoted his dissertation, and the actual quotations are in here under, I think it's the final question, or the second last question, like question 25, 26, around there. So it's the term, it's a Sabbath, therefore there remains a Sabbath observance for the people of God.
One question.
Yeah, yes.
Why at the beginning of Hebrews 4, verses 1 through 4, does it then talk about he that believes has entered into his rest?
That's the word katapausis.
That's a different word.
Correct. That's exactly why he's doing the study, because he's showing katapausis versus sabatismos and how they're used. Fascinating. So if you're interested, I have his dissertation in an email that he sent to me, and I can send it to you because the dissertations are now made available online to everybody. And so if you want that dissertation, my email is in here. You can write to me. I'll send it on.
Thank you.
Okay? So I've got that, and Erhard gave it to me. The only reason he gave it to me is because I needed it before it got officially online. I didn't have time to wait for it. You know, I'm busy doing this book, and I say, hey, Erhard, can you give me your study? Yeah, I'll email it to you. So he emailed me his dissertation, because there's nothing, nowadays dissertations are freely available, and they, like Matilda Fry's one is on the website. You can go to Andrews and get it free. And it might be there by now. But when I saw him, when he graduated a couple months ago, it wasn't yet there. So if you go there, you might find Gallos, Erhard Gallos. And so two more questions? Yeah. By the way, thanks for the dialogue. Good questions.
Sometimes in our evangelism we use Webster. We say Sabbath means rest.
Yeah, it's like the feast keepers. They get to the word dogma in Colossians 2:16, which says chirografon tois dogmasin, and dogmasin is from the Greek word dogma. Then they go to the English dictionary and they say, here's the English word dogma, and then they build a case pro feast keeping from the English dictionary. You can't do that. And the same way, to be fair, okay, we shouldn't go to Webster and say Webster says Sabbath means rest. It's not legitimate. It's better to go to the Hebrew dictionary, as the SDA Seventh Adventist Belief book has done, or to the Handbook of SDA Theology, they've gone back to the Hebrew. So don't use Webster. Are you with me? It's not a safe way, because then our members can misuse it and say, hey, I can go home and sleep. It's not accurate. Let's rather stay with the Hebrew definition of the Hebrew word. Are you with me? That's what I prefer and recommend, and is done by our standard books, SDA Believe and Handbook of Adventist Theology. Any other questions? Yeah?
Well, God doesn't get tired.
That's correct.
You know, so when he rested on the Sabbath, he gave Adam and Eve a sitting tour.
Correct.
You know, so it wasn't a rest of resting physically.
Correct.
It was a cessation of creation.
That's right. You follow? That's an easy way to describe it. That's right. God doesn't get tired, he simply stopped. And that's why the English says he rested from. It doesn't say he rested. He rested from, and rested from simply means, you know, in fact, Old English, nowadays still, I've heard people say, he rests from his labors. Somebody who dies, he has stopped working. He rests from. Same idea. So, you know, stay with the way it's used in the Bible itself. Here now, notice in the fourth command, right? This is important, because when you get to the fourth command, you find a similar term, but it's different. Notice, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all things, and rested. It doesn't say he rested from. What do we do now? Surprise. Guess what? That's not the word Shabbat. It's not that. Here in the fourth commandment is a different Hebrew word. It's the word Nuach. God Nuach. It doesn't say God Shabbat. Interesting. And you can find that even in our book over here that we don't want to mention the name for, okay? You know what book it is over here, right? You can find it in the dictionary part of that book. It will show you, he Nuach. Now think about it. Okay, Nuach is the Hebrew word for whose name? Noah. Noah. Because Noah's name is to give you rest from. What is the meaning of the Hebrew verb Nuach used in the fourth commandment? Fascinating. It means peace, settle down, quiet the mind. Not some lay activities, okay? And I'm putting that in as a pun, okay? I'm not talking about the real proper kind, but the lay activities. No. In fact, you get to Esther chapter 9. In the book of Esther, it says, now the Jews had rest from their enemies. Peace. This is not the word Shabbat. It's not the same word. It's the word Nuach. The Jews had Nuach from their enemies. And Esther chapter 9 verse 22 says they had rest from their enemies. They had peace. So the first time the word is Shabbat, and that is a physical rest. This is a mental rest. Are you following what I'm saying? We need to encourage church members to know the reason we don't study for an exam. You're asking people who are students. We want a mental rest from our activities. Mental rest from, so that we can focus the mind on God. Amen. We want the physical rest from our labors so we can spend all our energies for God. You get the idea? So you have a physical rest, you have a mental rest from. So that's a mental idea. Let's move on. Now notice Exodus 31, verse 14 and 17. You shall keep the Sabbath, therefore it is holy to the Lord. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was what? Refreshed. He was refreshed. Another word is added. What is the word refreshed? It's the word nafesh. What do you think it sounds like?
Nefesh.
Nefesh. Yes, it sounds like nefesh. And right, because nefesh is the noun, nafesh is the verb. We're dealing with verbs here. Okay, what is the meaning of the Hebrew verb nafesh? The verbal form of the word nefesh, meaning soul, hence to take a breath, to refresh oneself. Now, it's fascinating. In Psalm 23, he leadeth me beside still waters. Remember that? He restoreth my soul. Now, you know what's interesting? That is in Hebrew. He restores my soul. When the Septuagint translators took the word, he restores my soul, and they turned it into Greek, guess what they said? He psuche triate. He, soul is psuche, you know that, psychology. And you have the other word here that shows he restores my soul. And psuche triatri sounds like what? Psychiatry. It's interesting. He restores my soul, and they've taken that word, turned it into English, and the psychiatrist, from a secular point of view, is somebody who is supposed to help you take a breath, restore you. That's what they're trying to do. But the point is, it's very interesting, this word nefesh is used here. It's in a sense an emotional rest from, During the work week, we have all kinds of emotional stresses. Sabbath is to take a break from those emotional issues. Leave it in God's hands. Don't worry about it. Boyfriend and girlfriend issues, husband and wife challenges. In fact, that's why Ellen White is right. Friday, the preparation day, is not simply to black the boots, as they used to say, and get everything else ready. Friday, the preparation day, is to do what else? Get our hearts ready. And how? If there's been dissonance between you and a church member, contact them and make things right. So that there's emotional rest as well. And she talks about that. Preparation day includes more than just physical preparation. Let's continue. Number 4, therefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath. An interesting word. What does it mean to observe the Sabbath? The word is asah. What does asah mean? What is the meaning of this verb used in its context? To do, to make. That is to be active. Rightly to celebrate. The NASB and the NIV says the 7th-day Sabbath is a day to celebrate. Now, this is one thing we really haven't done too well, and to encourage in our churches, we got to get people to rightly celebrate the day. It's a social rest from celebration in a social, secular way. Here we should celebrate in a positive, spiritual way. By going out. I remember when I was working on the island of Guam, my wife and I, we would take the young people to the old age home on a regular basis. And we would encourage the young people, go and visit the same people every time you get there. Once every second week, once every month. Visit them, make friends in order to connect with them, in order to share the love of Jesus. Do spiritual socialization on the Sabbath. So the day is a day to celebrate. One more. Then God blessed the 7th day. Actually, 2 more. And sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which he had made. God had created it. What is the word blessed? Yes, it's the name of our current president. Yes, Barak. Yes, that's the way it's pronounced in the Hebrew. Barak means bless. That to bless, that's the verb. When to bless, so when God blesses though, he empowers. God blesses, he empowers. Song of the Sabbath, Psalm 92 talks about how God blesses you. When God blesses, he gives you the strength to do what he wants you to do. It's a spiritual rest. What do I mean by that? Well, pastors, I want to urge you, I want to challenge you. On Sabbath, find ways that you aren't overtaxed spiritually. Make this a joyful day. How do you do that? Get your lay people actively involved. There should be times when you are sitting in the pew and listening to the lay people that you've trained, so that you can be blessed. I love it when I go to PMC and I see Pastor Dwight Nelson sitting in the pew. Did you know that? Dwight doesn't preach every Sabbath. Are you listening? He also sits and he listens. You also need your lives blessed. Find ways to make the Sabbath a good spiritual refreshment for you. I know it's a heavy day. One more. God sanctified it. I'm watching the clock, by the way. I want to have time for sharing. I'm going to share with you a couple of my failures and what I learned from it. But God sanctified it. What is sanctified? It's the word Kadesh. What does Kadesh mean in a verb? It's to set apart, to consecrate, to make holy. How does God do that? How does God sanctify something? Think of Moses. When God says, the ground you're standing on is holy ground, why was the ground holy? Why was the bush holy?
It was his presence.
Correct. The way God sanctifies something, you find it repeated in Scripture, is because of his presence. So think about the implications. When God sanctifies the Sabbath, what is he doing? He says, I am there with you. He sanctifies this day by his very presence. And in that sense, Kadesh is ultimate peace. So that's why, again, it's Christ-centered focus. This is the day to spend with him. He rested, he blessed, he sanctified it. And of course, the 3 angels' messages. Again, I go back to the connection that I mentioned before. In the first angel's message, it shows us that there's a direct link with the 4th commandment, right in that fear God and give glory to him and worship him. There's the 4th commandment, 9 words directly quoted from it, right in that first angel's message. Okay? So we know that that's part of what we are proclaiming. But the question is, what is the basis for worship? Notice, Revelation 4:11. You are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created. In other words, because he's creator, he is worthy of worship. For by him, Jesus, all things were created. Colossians 1:16. And so, of course, we as Adventists have correctly pointed out, what is the sign of his creative authority? Sabbath. God has given us a symbol of his creative power. He has given us a refuge in this stress-filled world. Deep within the heart of God's law, there is a symbol of his authority. Fascinating, by the way, when you study it, the 10 Commandments Question time. Don't jump to the answer. Where do the Ten Commandments actually begin? I know it's in Exodus 20, but what verse?
Listen, Israel.
When I was a kid, guess where we started?
The preamble.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's where we started. Anybody else who learned it that way? Don't be afraid. I learned it that way. Yeah. That's verse 3.
Yes.
But guess where the Jews begin? And guess where the text begins? Verse 1.
Yes.
Anochi, right? Adonai Eloheinu. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Why is that important? Because unless you start in verse 2, guess what? Those who accuse us could rightfully accuse us of being legalists. Because we only focus on the law. Think of the implications of starting in verse 2. When the Israelites heard that statement, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, what did they think of? How did they come out of Egypt alive? By means of what? By means of?
Passover blood.
The Passover blood. It was only because of the blood of the lamb on the doorpost and on the lintel that the firstborn came out alive. Am I right?
Yeah.
And so when the Ten Commandments begin with verse 2, verse 1 says, and God spake all these words, saying, it's just Moses introducing the Ten Commandments. When the Ten Commandments begin with verse 2, and you go to Israel today, and you'll see on the big Torah, they'll have the Ten Commandments. They never begin, thou shalt not. They begin, Anochi, I, the Lord, Yahweh or Adonai, your God, Eloheinu. They start that way because the Ten Commandments begin with verse 2. And what that means is the Ten Commandments are solidly Christ-centered, saturated in the blood of the Lamb. When they thought, I have brought you out of Egypt, they thought blood of the Lamb. Without the Lamb, they wouldn't have come out. Are you with me? Make sure when you share that, and that's what the Ten Commandments begin in verse 2. But you know what's interesting? When you count the amount of Hebrew words from verse 2 on through verse 7, 60-something words approximately. 50, 60 words, and then you go from verse 12 through verse 17, 50 to 60 words. And guess what? One commandment has the same about 50 to 60 words. The fourth commandment. Verses 8 through 11. So actually, even structurally, the Ten Commandments, the amount of words is smack bang in the heart of the Ten Commandments. Are you with me? So you have about the same amount of words here, the same amount of words there, and the one commandment taking up 1/3 of the Ten Commandments. Ten Commandments, the fourth commandment right in the heart of the law. Remember, Sabbath day to keep it holy. Of course, the Sabbath was made for man. And of course, we always go back to Jesus. If you love me, keep my commandments. Now, I know some people say, oh, but that's the New Testament. Go with me to Exodus. Let's go back there for a moment. I got, I think, 2 slides left here, 2 or 3. And then I'll share with you a story. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for me, I'd appreciate it. And by the way, those who want to contact me, my email is in here. My work email is right on the inside, the 3rd page or so, 4th page, copyright page. You can always reach me. Not that I'll get back with you, because sometimes life's been a little hectic, as you know. It happens. But I do try to reply, especially if you tell me who you are. I was in that thing, and then I try to get back with you in a week or so. Notice now, Exodus 20. We already went through verse 2. Look at verse 6. And what to me was exciting, I memorized the Ten Commandments, I recited it, and I missed the importance of verse 6. Notice what it says. But showing mercy to thousands, to those who what? Love me and keep my commandments. Notice the sequence. What comes first? Love. Right in the Ten Commandments. And so when people say you're legalists, you can only prove you go to Jesus in the book of John to have the sequence of love and keep. No. We go back to the Ten Commandments. It's right there. Notice the sequence. Showing mercy to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Now, if somebody ever said to you, oh, you're legalist, by the way, be like Dale Carnegie. Anybody heard of Dale Carnegie? How to influence friends and whatever, win friends and influence people. I love what he says. He says, find as much way to agree with your enemies. So if somebody ever says to you, you're legalist, you say, you're right. Huh? It'll shock them. Huh? What do you mean you're right? Well, you're 75% correct. What do you mean by that? Now, if I had a blackboard here in your imagination, write the word legalist down. Write it on a piece of paper. Legalist, right? 8 letters. What is 75% correct on 8 letters? How many letters are you right if I say you're 75%? 6, correct? Mathematicians? You say to people, you got 6 letters right. The L is correct. But you thought this was an E. It's not an E, it's actually an O. You get that? It looked like an E, but it's an O. You thought it was a G, but it's not a G, it's a Y.
Legalistic.
What are we? We're not legalists, we're what? Loyalists. Aha. So agree with him as much as possible. Use a little bit of humor. Okay? We're not legalists, we're what? Loyalists. If you love me, keep my commandments. We do it because we love the Lord. No legalism, loyalism. All right, let's end up here. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments and the faith of Jesus. The Sabbath is the Lord's day. Ultimately, it all has to do with that personal walk with Jesus Christ. And I love the way Job ends off. Now acquaint yourself with him and be at peace. I'm going to leave that up and I'll share with you a quick story here. And any questions, comments, we've got about 5 minutes. Guilty as charged. You see, gentlemen, ladies, I too had not understood the way of the Sabbath. I was a student at Andrews University, self-supporting as we claim. It was God-supported, but I had no conference paying my way through. And I worked super hard during the week. At one stage, I was on duty and working about 120 hours per week. My wife had 2 or 3 jobs. I had, I think, 2 at that time. Make a long story short, when Sabbath came, guess what we did? Exhausted. We thought Sabbath was a day of rest. You know that's not true anymore, right? And then my sister-in-law and her boys came, and I said, hey, Sherry, Danny and Patrick, why don't you guys move in with us? We have a big house. Sherry, you can get your education done. And Danny was 7, and Patrick was 5. And I became instant father. Now, the reason we didn't have kids, don't have children, is so that we can spend more time in ministry. And suddenly now, I became an instant dad. Well, what happens? Sabbath comes. As soon as we come back from church, have lunch, and Danny and Patrick, after lunch, guess what I went to do? Because I wasn't remembering the Sabbath during the week. I exhausted myself physically. When Sabbath lunch was over, guess what I wanted to do more than anything else? Lay activities. Now, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about that kind where you're flat on your back or in your belly. That bad kind of lay activities, which, by the way, is not good after lunch anyway. But I was so exhausted. But Danny and Patrick, I didn't want to ruin the Sabbath for them. And so they said, Uncle Ron, let's play Bible charades. You know Bible charades? Okay? The family acts it out, and then the rest, one person acts it out, and the rest guess. And I'm thinking, man, I want to be on sleep so urgently, so I gotta go lie down. And to this day, they're in their 20s now, they still don't know what I did. Because guess what? When my turn came, I was flat on my back. No movement. I just lay there, and they guessed all over the Bible until one of them said, aha, you're Lazarus in the tomb. And yes, they were right. And then we went around the circle again, and they came to me, and the next time I was lying on my belly and my hand against my head. And they guessed until they realized, why was my hand against my head? Guess who I was? Goliath, you're right. After he'd been struck by the rock. And so I was flat on my belly, and it took forever for them to guess it. And in the meantime, I was having my good Sabbath afternoon rest. You get the picture? The point I'm making is, gentlemen, I was not keeping the Sabbath. I was breaking the Sabbath by exhausting myself during the week. Are you with me? Okay? So that when Sabbath came, I was useless. All I could do was want to go sleep. That's not what Sabbath is for.
Amen.
See what I'm saying? The Sabbath must be such an exciting day. I'm going to give you one illustration here. A friend of mine, he and his wife, they used to do this. They had 2 kids. Both are out of the house now. And one of them has just been employed. She's going to come to Andrews University to be a brand new professor of Old Testament. She's doing her doctorate right now. She's coming to teach at Andrews as an Old Testament professor. But this couple, guess what they did? They made sure that the Sabbath was such a day of delight that when the sun set on Saturday night, guess what their kids said? Oh no, we have to wait 6 more days for the Sabbath. Wow. Imagine in all Seventh-day Adventist homes around this world that the kids, when the sun set, would complain that the day was over. Are you with me? That's it. What is the Sabbath? Is it not a day of delight?
Amen.
Right. So I'm challenging you, pastors. Find ways to teach, to train your church members so that the children will complain when the sun sets. Complain. I can't wait for another Sabbath. Of all things, think about it. If we can get our kids in love with Jesus, and if the day is a day to spend with Him, wouldn't they say, oh, I wish I could spend another 24 hours. Can't we extend the Sabbath?
Oh, wow.
Are you with me, gentlemen? Isn't that correct? Isn't that biblical? Isn't that what God is calling us to do? To get people so excited about this day of delight so that people want to enjoy the presence of our Savior. That's what the Sabbath is all about.
Amen.
Spending time with the one who came, who created us, who died for us, and who is anxiously waiting to come and take us home. How many of you want to be ready?
Amen.
How many of you want to get others ready?
Amen.
I want to pray for you. Holy Father, you see the hands of all the workers here excited about spending time with you, wanting to be ready for that great day, and getting others ready. Thank you for this beautiful picture of this day of delight, sanctified by your very presence. Help us to enthuse, educate, inspire, instruct our members, our children, so that they will complain when the Sabbath ends. It'll be a foretaste of heaven. By your glory, we can do this. For your glory. In the precious name of our Savior, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
It's 5:30. If there are questions, I'm hanging around.